What's happening, people? Welcome back to the Scarfey Talks Premier League podcast. In this episode, it is, trust me, a lot packed into this one. Action-packed is what I'm looking for because there's a Game Week 26 review. We'll be previewing the Premier League clubs as we go into FA Cup round fours. We'll be talking about their games that they're involved in and also be reacting to the sackings of both Thomas Frank and Sean Dyche and Forest's replacement in Victor Pereira and Tottenham's as well. So yeah, plenty to discuss. Do stay with us and get involved. Let us know what club you support, how you're feeling right now with the club you support as well. But let's introduce my fantastic panel joining me, keeping me company for tonight. Cam, firstly, Spurs fan. I mean, what an incredible week it has been, from defeat to Newcastle to sacking Frank to now appointing a managerial replacement. A lot to get into about Spurs, but how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well, thank you. A lot's happened this week. Obviously, we've got a lot to talk about, as I think you know. But yeah, I'm glad to be back on here. Thank you.
Big up to the chat. We've got someone here saying good afternoon, Spurs. Coming Spurs, thank you very much to Drowning Forward, and also to Newcastle fan Ryan Stape, who says hi, Harry, and the panel. Big up. Thank you very much for joining us. Let us know how you feel after Newcastle's win against Tottenham. Does that mean now that that's a turning point maybe for you? It just felt like a moment for Eddie Howe as well. It's a reminder that he's the manager, maybe to bring success again to your football club after winning that first trophy. It felt a huge moment, seeing him being pushed as well by the players in front of the fans. That was quite a nice sight. Matt, thank you very much for coming on as an Arsenal fan. How are you doing?
I could be better. I could be 7 points clear, but I'm not. 4 points clear. But yeah, I'm all right.
Good stuff. Thank you very much. I mean, at the end of the day, you're still top of the league. Thank you very much. And Louis, I mean, I mentioned to Cam there about a roller coaster of emotions, action-packed. I mean, West Ham's game, which you'll get into, was certainly crazy and went down to the wire, as you will know. How you doing?
I'm good. It's been a while since I've been on, especially on a review one. So it's good to be back. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Always good to have you. Let's get straight into it then. I'm not going to waste any time. I'm going to start with the Game Week 26 review, go game by game, and get into all the manager stuff and then the FA Cup preview. First game was a big one to start the weekend, Spurs and Newcastle. Cam, I'll start with you as a Spurs fan. Before we get into Thomas Frank, talk to me about this game. I mean, first half, would you agree with me that Tottenham were awful and, could and should have been, further behind than just a single goal at the break, but coming back in the second half, but not really giving or showing enough to get anything from the game?
I think we do this every game. We always have an awful first half, and then second half we'll do a lot better, but perhaps not get the win or get the result we want. Obviously, second half against City was way better than the first half. Second half was a little bit better in terms of first half against Newcastle, but obviously couldn't get the win or get a result for that matter. Yeah, I mean, Newcastle away from home, they've been dreadful. I think everyone can agree with that. They've not been great this season in general, but of course, especially away from home, they haven't gotten a win in quite a while before this game, and of course, we're going to gift that to them. Yeah, I mean, they have got some good players in fairness, and Newcastle they got it right against us, and yeah, I mean, we just didn't look like we had any clue what to do against them. I think Newcastle's crossing was quite good for the first goal, of course. That's what it came from. And for the second goal as well, they pretty much just played through us. I feel like it was just quite too easy for Newcastle. We didn't really give any sort of kind of challenge. I mean, even our goal was from a set piece. It was our first goal of the game, and we scored from it. I think Newcastle had like 11 or 12 corners. We got our first corner and scored from it. So yeah, and then obviously we conceded after that. But yeah, it isn't amazing at the moment for Tottenham. It's dreadful, if you like. And when you're playing a side like Newcastle at home, who are winless in a handful of away games, and they just come here and get a result and perform like it's too easy, you've got to be concerned as a Tottenham fan. And I think these players, in my opinion, I know that Frank was down to the bare bones, and I understand that a lot of these players perhaps filling in for the players that are out, of course. Whilst I think it's harsh on them considering they're not meant to be starters at Tottenham, I feel like they have got to have a look at themselves and be like, we've got to be doing a lot better. I mean, I do understand that the system with Thomas Frank at times in each and every game is very questionable. And I think, you can watch Tottenham and be like, okay, what what are Tottenham actually trying to achieve here? What are we actually trying to do? Because a lot of the time we don't look threatening, when attacking, and even defensively, it looks like we're always on the back foot. And we saw that a lot against Newcastle, especially in the first half. In the second half, it kind of slowed down a little bit. But in the end, we let in 2 goals and we lost the game. Yeah, it looks very wrong at the moment. And of course, we'll get to the Thomas Frank sacking, of course, because he got sacked after that game against Newcastle. We'll get to that. But yeah, it felt like it was just too easy for Newcastle. And I think we've seen this season when they've went to these away grounds, they've struggled a lot. And they've come to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and it's been way too easy for them. And, Newcastle, they have injuries of their own as well. They had, I think it was Joe Linton out. They had quite a few other players out as well. Anthony Gordon was getting assessed and he started the game. I don't know how he started. He was being assessed before the game, and I thought, okay, he might make the bench, but no, he started. Just a bit of a weird one there. But yeah, it was too easy for Newcastle. And for us, it looks like we're going to go for Igor Dudo now. And we've got hopefully that new manager bounce against Arsenal. Hope so. But yeah, it was too easy for Newcastle, and for us, another poor game, another poor result.
Indeed, Cam, thank you very much. I'd personally argue that Newcastle didn't have to get out of first gear, apart from the couple of minutes really where we scored and equalised. Didn't take them long as well to go back ahead. We'll come back to you, that's all right, as well, on Frank sacking and the appointment that is ultimately his replacement. We'll come back to you in just a second. But in the meantime, Louis, if I come to you for Newcastle, this win feels significant, doesn't it, to pull themselves away from Spurs and stop them being dragged into anything and keeping some faint hope of European football alive. It just felt, in particular for Eddie Howe, but Newcastle as a whole, it just felt like a potential turning point. And you see the away scenes as well. It feels big, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course. They haven't had a Premier League win since I think it was the 7th of January. It's been a very, very, very long time for them. So they did need to get something, and that win did put them above Sunderland by goal difference. So I'm sure they'll appreciate that. And again, they're still in the fight for Europe. It's quite close. It's been close all season. It's still close at the end. The gap is slightly opening up between a few sides now, but in terms of the lower stages of European football, the Europa League and Conference League spots, it is open. So Newcastle could be entering those competitions for the first time. And it goes to show when you have a team of good players, maybe not the best players, we've spoken about their investment hasn't been the greatest, but if we look at individual quality, they've got players that can push them up there, but they need that confidence. Confidence is such a big thing in football, and a lot of people forget that most of the time. When one bad result, suddenly that result might take a toll, and things before you know it, you're out of contention from what you're aiming for. So I do think this win could get them back on track. They've obviously got Villa in the Cup, which we will make a predictions for later on, and then they've got Karabag, I believe, in the Champions League knockout stage. So they'll be looking to qualify to actually get into the official knockouts.
Definitely. Louis, thank you very much. Appreciate you mentioning that as well. Cam, if I come back to you, so Thomas Frank being sacked then, ultimately final game, and the final post-match interview as well wasn't very nice at all. Some really tough and I'd argue unfair questioning. That was ultimately the final interview in the end. So yeah, give us your thoughts on this. This is the right decision. It's one that I'm sure they didn't want to make, going with patience at this stage in the season as well. And as we know, nobody was directly lined up because they would have been in the job and appointed by now. But what's your thoughts on Thomas Frank being dismissed?
I think there were many opportunities earlier on in the season where I definitely think we could have considered sacking him because, of course, I think earlier on in the season or, previously in the season, I think after we lost to West Ham, I think that was maybe one of the moments where the board should have maybe considered, making a tough decision, especially with the fact that there were many options potentially available in terms of what manager we're going to bring in, whether it's an interim or whether it's a permanent manager. I think there was a lot more, space to think, with who we're going to bring in, what we're going to do. And, it's February now and we've sacked him and, we're 16th in the Premier League. I think that's, a key factor when they're thinking about sacking him because 16th in the Premier League, you're 5 points off the drop. It doesn't look like it's going to get any better. And yeah, I think Vinay and, Lang had to make a decision because I think it was just getting a bit too much. And Yeah, I do think it was the right decision, and I do feel like it could have been done a little bit more earlier. Because I just think they waited too long to do it, and I do understand where people come from when they say that he shouldn't have been sacked maybe after that game, um, because it should have been done earlier, and we're waiting until February to sack him when there are moments in November, December, January, all throughout that time frame where we could have thought, okay, if we can sack him now and perhaps get in someone who can kind of change the way the club are going. Then yeah, I think that kind of would have been the way to go and the overall direction. But yeah, I think now we're 16th because we wasn't that low earlier on in the season. We were like 12th, 13th, 14th. We were around there. And of course, the point gap's still quite tight and anything can happen. Which I do think is why now they've brought in interim manager Igor Tudor. And I think, it looks like the board think that he's going to be the one to, get some results in to kind of get us a bit higher up the table. I think everyone kind of knows that this season's probably a write-off now in terms of European football, in terms of trying to get one of those top 10 spots. And yeah, I think we're just too low down now, with the games we've got. Albeit, I think we are going to get some good results in there under Igor Tudor that I don't think Thomas Frank perhaps would have gotten. Yeah, I think it's the right decision, and at this stage, I do think the squad and the club overall need some change in this team.
Absolutely. Thank you, Cam, very, very much. If we move across then to Tottenham's North London rivals, Matt, as an Arsenal fan, give us your thoughts on Tottenham sacking Thomas Frank. How do you view the situation? Because you speak to fans of other clubs and they're all like, give Frank time, and they're feeling it just feels very different to what Spurs fans are saying. Does this take you by surprise? Do you agree the decision taking the Arsenal hat off?
No, I don't agree with the decision because I think it should have been sacked after the North London derby. But in let's be real here, he should have been sacked months ago. Months ago, when he lost the North London derby 4-1, that's when he should have got sacked because it's not the result that should have got him sacked. It's the way that your team played is what should have got him sacked. And this Newcastle game was a bit odd because I actually felt it was kind of end to end. Tottenham had their chances, didn't take them. Newcastle had their chances, they took them. And I didn't actually think that Tottenham played too bad. I just think it was too little too late, really. But I'm not surprised that he's been sacked in this time frame because they've got 12 days, or they had 12 days to find an interim and get him settled before the North London derby happens. So they've acted quite quickly, which you can take as a positive sign, to be honest, because at least they haven't like dwelled on on an interim for days upon end. I was told that a coach will be in before this weekend, so that was correct. I can't say I know much about the new manager. I just looked at his career history in terms of where he's managed, and I kind of like to call him a journeyman, where he's been here and there for 2 months, 6 months, 9 months. He's not really stayed at one football club for more than a year, I don't think, or more than 2 years. So he's kind of a short-term person, which kind of makes sense as to why Tottenham have gone for him. But if I'm honest, I don't know what he's going to do that Thomas Frank hasn't already tried or has done, because Frank knows the Premier League. He's been very experienced in the Premier League. No doubt he will get another Premier League job. I just think that with Thomas Frank, maybe he's just not cut out to be a big six manager. But he's an exceptional manager in terms of his tactics and the style of play. Just don't think he was ready for a big club. I don't know how this guy's going to get on. He's got a very, very tough game against league leaders Arsenal, and we'd be going to that game with wanting blood, because that draw, we'll talk about that later, but that draw was unacceptable. And so we will definitely go there with gritty teeth and give that manager, a game and see what he can do, really.
Okay. Matt, thank you very much. Before we move on then, I do want to talk about Igor Tudor, and then we'll move on to Chelsea and Leeds. So from my own analysis that I've done, I come up with pros and cons. But before that, he's 47 years of age, Croatian, played for Juventus and Hajduk Split, managed 10 teams in 13 seasons, prefers counter-attack or quick direct moves, three-man defence. He prefers that 3-4-2-1 formation. I'd argue that really benefits Tottenham right now. And again, from the analysis I carried out, it seems to be aggressive football with a focus on defence and retaining ball possession. So the pros that I identified, I mean, everyone's entitled to disagree, but it took over in the 24-25 season Juventus mid-season. They lost just one of the remaining 9 matches that season and ended up qualifying for the Champions League. He seems to be effective at organising teams and prioritising results. He's got big club experience. He's a no-nonsense type of character and experience also, as well as at the big club, but in the Champions League, and demands physicality and aggression. But the cons I come up with is he seems to struggle with player relationships. Of course, state the obvious, no Premier League experience. And this, for me, is the real concerning thing. At Marseille, finished bottom of their Champions League group in 2022. Tottenham beat them twice, done a double, ultimately. So that's really concerning. And he got sacked after seven months, this was, and no wins in 8 at Juventus. And just bear in mind that 7 months at a club isn't long enough at all. And 2 to 3 months of that were pre-season. Galatasaray, lastly, won the league 10 years in a row. He didn't. He couldn't win the league with Galatasaray. I'm going to get a couple of your thoughts on this. Cam, as a Spurs fan, I will start with you. What are your thoughts on this appointment? It's not announced, but we've got the here we go from the likes of Italian journalist Fabrizio Romano. It's all but confirmed. So what are your thoughts at this moment?
Yeah, well, when I saw the announcement, it was kind of almost out of the blue for me. But I think what you've said, Harry, I think I'm kind of concerned now with what you've said in terms of his past experience as well. I mean, looks like he's been everywhere, been at every club, been pretty much everywhere. That's right. Yeah, I think there was other options that I thought the club perhaps would have looked more into. But it looks like they've chosen for Igor Tudor, and yeah, I mean, it looks like we're going to see if that is the right choice or if it's the wrong choice. I guess we'll see at the end of the season. But I mean, there's got to be a reason why they've chosen him. There's got to be, they can't just mindlessly pick an interim manager until the end of the season. You've got to kind of, come up with, a reason or many reasons as to why you've got to hire him. I know he hasn't got any Premier League experience. I know that he's never been in England. His past 2 clubs were in Italy, I'm pretty sure. Obviously, he was at Marseille as well. Yeah, I mean, I guess we're going to see how well he does it. I think there was also a statistic I saw as well on Twitter about him. The last 2 times he'd come into a job as an interim manager, he'd lost, I think, once in both clubs. So once in both clubs, I think they played 10 or 15 games. I think that was at Juventus, and I'm not too sure on who the other club was, but it was Juventus and another Italian team. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to look at. Again, I don't know too much about him. I'm going to be real with you. Only what you lot have kind of said. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to look at. And yeah, I guess we're going to see how he does.
Okay, Cam, thank you. Louis, I want to get your thoughts as an outsider on this. You said off air that you know a little bit about Igor Tudor. How do you view it? I mean, not being funny, that you were down, roughly where Tottenham are, and if I'm being honest with you, I think we'll be close to you till the end of the year. It's quite a worrying thought. I think for both teams now they're going to be, particularly Tottenham, going to be in the relegation battle. Potentially, you would have thought till the end. But how do you view his career and what impact can he make at Tottenham?
I think what needs to be settled here straight away is that the amount of jobs he's had hasn't necessarily been due to the fact that he's had poor results wherever he's gone.
He's resigned a lot, hasn't he?
he's resigned a lot, but it's always due to the fact that he either has a row with the players or doesn't get on with the owners very well. The truth is, it can't go much worse at Spurs at the moment because the row with the players has already reached its pinnacle. And to be honest, there's only 11 players to currently row with, so it can't really go that bad that quickly. The next thing, though, which is a bit more serious, is the fact that I think it's relatively smart. I don't know why he didn't go for a long-term target straight away. Fair enough. But if we look at the situation, albeit I understand Spurs fans might say that you're going down and whatnot, let's be honest. If you got 3 wins out of your remaining 12 games, you stay up. That's not necessarily a fact, but it's probably a fact. That would give you, off the top of my head, that would give you 37 points. And if you picked up 2 draws here and there, that gets you 39. 39 will keep you up this season easily. Which means he needs to do well for a third of his matches that he comes in for. Out of whoever you play and however you play, 3 of them need to be wins, which I think is very easily doable. There's a reason you've given him as an interim contract because he's definitely not the answer long term for any sort of quote unquote project that Spurs want to endeavour on, which never ends up being a project anyway. But your current situation is probably enough. You needed to get someone in the door that was going to keep you up. And, for example, when you look at people to have a manager bounce, I don't think Spurs are ever going to go and sign, maybe not the greatest example, but, you're not going to get your Dyches, your Allardyces, your Harry Redknapp's from back in the day, which was slightly rumoured at the beginning, which was never going to happen. You're not going to get a relegation specialist just to keep you up because I think that would harm the image of, whatever image Spurs have. But I think it's probably just a hiring that makes sense in the moment, but I really don't see much more to it. He'll keep you up. He'll do the job. He's not going to bring any massive tactical overhaul. It's something that the players will be used to. Playing very similar to Frank, probably just slightly more higher pressing, which might go even worse for you actually thinking about it right now because you're probably going to get more injuries. You pressed on the range and that didn't go very well for you. So you never know. If he doesn't have a good start, he might find himself in some trouble, but I think he'll be all right in the end, unfortunately.
Louis, can I quickly ask you a question, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm just going to go through Tottenham's remaining Premier League fixtures.
Yep.
And you tell me win, lose, or draw. So you got the North London derby next week.
Loss.
You got Fulham away.
But I'll be negative and prove my point. Loss.
You've got Crystal Palace at home.
You win that.
You got Liverpool away.
Loss.
You got Nottingham Forest at home.
Win.
You got Sunderland away.
Loss.
You got Brighton at home.
Draw.
And then Wolves away.
Win.
Villa away.
Loss.
Leeds at home.
Draw.
Chelsea away.
Loss.
And then you got Everton at home.
I mean, you could even lose that one and you'd still be safe, but I think you probably draw it.
So you think Tottenham are going to win 4 games?
3.
Okay, 3. So Tottenham haven't won 3 games in their last 15 Premier League games.
No, I know that, but the point being
I don't see
about...
the evidence here that Tottenham are going to win more than 2 games with more injuries sustained than, in the last 15 games.
But the point I was attempting, I can understand what you mean, but my point I was attempting to make is that I think they're going to stay up because that's what I think you need.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. Okay.
And
that's fair enough.
Then we have to start going through the games of West Ham, and then we have to start going through the games of Forest as well. And I think just the position that you're in, I think you can pick up more wins because even getting rid of Frank is, whether it's the answer or not the answer, the one thing that it does do is remove everyone from saying, let's get rid of Frank. So now, when it comes to the first game, against Arsenal, the first thing that people do when they concede isn't going to say, okay, Frank out, right? Because he's gone now. So it removes that option straight away. The fan base no matter what state it's in, I'm not in it, but whatever state it's in, it's already got 10% better, or however much percent better, because Frank's gone. And so many people wanted Frank out. That doesn't mean they're going to win games, but it just provides ever so slightly different. I just don't think the Premier League can see Spurs go down. As much as I'd want it.
Can I play devil's advocate really quickly here?
Please.
Because Tottenham have never really been in a relegation battle, historically. And I think the mental edge of that is that West Ham, as a football club, are used to that. They know the stake and the costs are not. And Forest, have only recently come up. Wolves, have been in and out, over the past 20 to 30 years. And I just think that if Tottenham go within 3 points of 18th, I do think they'd get relegated, because I think that on the mental side, they'll struggle to comprehend that we're going to be playing championship football next season. I don't think that they will have that mental edge to not think about that and just play their football, because I think that'll be playing on their minds, because that's never ever happened before in their Premier League career.
I think if we slip into the bottom three, just to add on, then that for me is when I'm extremely worried. I'm not saying necessarily we will, but Arsenal and Fulham, I think most Spurs fans might change now. We brought in a new manager, but probably expect us to lose. And then I don't think necessarily, again, that we could be in the bottom three after those two. But even if it's a week after that we somehow slip into it, or just near it on goal difference, that's when it gets worrying. Because I think if you slip, can you get back out? Is the worry. And with Wolves as well, Forest as well, which we'll get onto as well. They brought in a manager that has a track record of an instant impact, not long term, any success there, but an instant impact of it come in and win his first.
Can I just quickly respond to that comment?
Yeah, please.
Richarlison and Porro coming back is a positive for Spurs, in my opinion. Romero back after 3 games. I don't know about that, because what it's come to me is that he doesn't really care about the football club anymore because of the owners. And I think that that's going to take away, not from his football ability, but his mentality to care about
angry.
playing.
And he gets sent off. I think there's part of him being angry, if I'm honest.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's going to play a part in it as well. Just my opinion.
Okay, thank you. Before we move on, just be interesting just to get the Spurs fan on the panel in Cam. If you can read out those fixtures again, Matt. Again, if it's all right with you, Cam, if you want to go through and say who you think will win, lose, or draw. I'm just interested to hear the difference. Is that if that's all right?
Yeah, sure. Let me get it up. So
cheers.
You've got the North London derby next week.
Loss.
You've got Fulham away.
Loss. Our record Craven Cottage horrible.
You got Crystal Palace at home.
Draw.
Got Liverpool away.
Loss.
Got Nottingham Forest at home.
Win.
So in 6 games, you got 4 points. That's not bad. Then you've got Sunderland away.
I want to go for a draw, but I don't even know if we're going to get a draw. I'll go draw. Why not? Draw.
You got Brighton at home.
Another draw.
The Wolves away.
I'm going a loss, To call me negative, I think a loss.
Wow.
So you got Aston Villa away.
No, genuinely. By the way, we haven't won there in quite a few years. We haven't won there in
no, we haven't.
Few years. We actually.
So you got
5 years.
Aston Villa away.
Loss.
Leeds at home.
Draw.
Chelsea away.
Loss.
And the last game of the season, Everton at home.
Ooh. Depends where we are as well. I'll go another draw.
So this is coming from a Tottenham fan. So you think you're going to get 1 point?
It was 8 points.
Okay, so 8 points. So what what would that put you on?
37.
37.
We got 38 last season.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, I don't think 40 points saves you from relegation because I think West Ham will pick up more wins. I think Forest will pick up
Wait,
points.
sorry.
38 might be enough.
Hang on a minute. If they get
Potentially.
38 points, that means
If we win Wolves, that'll be 40.
in-
Maybe I
38,
was
I think, will
half
be 38. I think will be the cut-off point. I think that'll be
If you-
enough.
Yeah.
If you got 38 points, that means West Ham would have to get 15 points, which is 5 wins out of 12 games with our current remaining fixtures.
I think you'll get at
Yeah,
least
but-
4 wins.
You've got 3 wins in the last 5 games.
Yeah,
It's not out of the
you're
realm
close to that.
that you can get another 3 wins.
It's going to
No,
be
it's
closer
not-
than you think.
no,
though.
what
It's
I'm
going to be
saying is
closer
in-
than you think.
No, but my whole point that I'm trying to make here, right, is I think, and I can confidently say this, I think out of all of the teams from Palace down, West Ham are the most informed, the most confident team out of those sides. But the problem that we have here is even if we've got to the point where we're adding maths of where you're not going to beat Wolves and stuff like that, and we're being almost as negative as possible, right? We still have to overturn that gap. And we've got our own problems as well. We've just had one of our new signings injured, right? So we're getting our issues and injuries as well. And that's to overturn the gap as well. We still have to overturn the gap. If we leave it to the final day and the gap's like, maybe 2 points, anything can happen. But if we overturn
Well, I
that
think
gap
we'll find
early-
out in the next 2 to 3 weeks if that gap can be overturned because Tottenham have got some very hard fixtures. And
Yeah.
personally, I don't see them getting a point in any of their next 3-4 games. Like, not even 1 point.
I
And
think
If we don't even get 1 point and West Ham actually grab a couple
Well,
of wins, I'm
out of
going
our
West
to
Ham
next-
can literally get 1 win. No, sorry, 2. I can't even count. 3 wins and 1 win and 2 or 3 draws. You've basically caught up with Tottenham.
But I'm going to go off our
regarding
next
obviously that
4
they've
games.
lost all their
okay?
games.
Of our next 4 games, if we get incredibly lucky and play very well and do our best that we can, the most we get is 6 points out of our next 4 games. We've got Bournemouth at home, Liverpool away, Fulham away, and City at home.
So 6
If-
points
If we do
would
well,
put you on 30 points. Now,
Yeah.
let's say Tottenham do get something, I don't know, like 1 point, right? You'll be on level with them. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Exactly.
this
exactly.
next 3 to 4 weeks is very, very crucial in, fucking
It
is. So key.
everything
I'd
in the
also
Premier
like
League
to
title
mention-
race and in the relegation
I'd also
fight.
like to mention that if the one thing that Spurs do have, which is a fact,
Spurs.
by the table, is you do have goal difference over everyone else.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
for
huge.
example,
Yeah,
your
that is
goal-
absolutely
Yeah.
true.
It
Good
could be
point.
really
I
big
didn't
coming in
actually
the
think
season.
of that. You look
Yeah.
at the goal
You're on
difference and you're like,
-1.
wow.
Great
We
point.
might catch you up on points, but on goal difference, you're on -1, we're on -17.
But do you know what the sad thing is? We started the year with a plus 13 goal difference on the
Yeah,
first
you did
attempt.
really well at the start of the year.
Stop.
Now we're on -1.
It's gone completely slashed. So there's evidence that we have got worse as we go. No, we got a little bit worse. Well, yeah, the goal difference at the end doesn't lie. But I think we covered quite a lot there with that. Let's move on to
Yeah.
just our second game so far. But thank you all for your thoughts on that. I might have to pick up the pace just a little bit. We covered a lot of good stuff there. Thank you, all of you. Next game then, Chelsea 2, Leeds 2. Cam, I start with you. Absolutely crazy game. Chelsea cruising 2-0 up, and that's why you can't take the handbrake off in football. Leeds pulling it back to 2-2. Big chance missed at the end from Cole Palmer. In the end, do you think Leeds are really happy with that point? They seem to be.
Yeah, Leeds are going to be really happy with that point. But what I will say is that second Leeds goal, that defending was atrocious. That defending from Chelsea, I couldn't believe it. I saw the goal and I was like, what's
Check it
going
wasn't
on
Tottenham
here?
defending.
Yeah, not even that was something else. I mean, yeah. And then that missed chance at the end from Cole Palmer as well. You would have argued that Chelsea, had a lot of chances to put this game to bed and, especially at home, win the game. But I think Leeds, they're going to be really happy with this point, I think, because, scoring 2 goals away to a very good side. I think, Rosinho's came in at Chelsea and, gotten some great results, albeit, he couldn't quite win twice in the both 2 games against Arsenal. But in the league, I think he's done quite well with the games he's been given so far. And, I don't think they're going to complain about that scrappy goal, their second goal that they got. I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, they're equalising, got a draw out of this game. And for a side like Leeds, they're newly promoted. They're just trying to stay up in this first season. It's a point that they're going to take and a point that they're going to run away with. And, maybe they could have won. Maybe, Chelsea could have won. It's an entertaining game. But I think, Cole Palmer, if you're not going to score chances, you're not going to win the game. And at the end of the day, that's what's happened for Chelsea. And yeah, I think for Leeds, from Leeds' point of view, when you're going away to, a difficult side like Chelsea, away at Stamford Bridge, I think if you're going to offer Leeds a point before this game, they would have bitten your hand off. And yeah, I think that's just a great point for Leeds and a missed opportunity for Chelsea to go higher up in the table.
Okay, Cam, thank you very much. Matt, if I come to you, I mean, we spoke a lot there, didn't we, about the relegation battle, but Leeds, I can't see any world that they go down. I know I think they've got Villa next and they've got City. Everyone's got tough games to an extent, but Leeds next two are extremely tough. I can't see them going down. They have the fight, they have the attacking quality. They're not perfect defensively, but they're a lot better than they were. You go back 4 months. They look in a really good place and always in a game, right? Every game except when they played you guys, they're in, right? Even at 2-0, still creating chances. You always felt like if they get a goal, it could get back into it. That's exactly what happened. So, do you think Leeds will be sitting there tonight? I mean, can't be fully confident, but pretty confident they'll be playing Premier League football again next season.
Well, I think they'll be pretty happy with that result, to be honest. They were 2-0 down, against Chelsea, who, aren't exactly a bad team. They're 5th place currently. They're 5 games unbeaten. And I think they'll be very, very happy with that because they fought back and they played really well. And I can't see Leeds getting relegated. I can't, because I just think that the manager and the players are on the same wavelength. They know what to be expected. They work really well together. They've got some quality players there for, mid-table-ish. And they seem to be ticking really, really well. And I can't remember when, but since Fark tweaked his tactics a bit, I think they've only lost like 3 or 4 games in the last 2 to 3 months. Like, they're on a really, really good run, like long term wise. And they've got most of their hard fixtures out the way pretty much. But yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I do appreciate it. Next game then, Everton and Bournemouth. Louis, if I give it to you, the Cherries winning 2-1 in the end. And whenever I think of Bournemouth, of course, I think about your regular on the podcast in Ollie. And I'm sure he would have loved to come on this week to discuss another win. Bournemouth have really turned a corner. I mean, Everton have been struggling at home, but Bournemouth showing real grit to come from behind to get a result.
So I've got to adapt your question, Harry, here, because I need to speak on Everton. I cannot believe what I was watching in that game. I cannot believe it. The amount of sitters that Everton had and they missed. It's mesmerising almost. Tiano Barry, he is a striker who can somehow get in the right positions, get in the right places, and it's unbelievable. Sometimes he just misses an open goal. I remember they had that early door chance where there was a free kick. I think it was Petrovic pummeled it out, and the ball's right in front of the goal. And he's missed it. He sent it to the corner flag. And then there was another one in the second half where the ball's come across goal. He's got to tap that in, and that's a striker's dream. And he's missed it, and I think it really cost Everton that game. Bournemouth are brilliant, though. They are a side that has maybe not looked the best this season. We've spoken about their problems, their lack of investment issues. But the one thing that they have done, which is very good, is they've been able to get back into games, and they've done really, really well in doing that. The thing that I admire the most is in that first half, they were so problematic towards themselves. They were letting the attacks come in. They weren't sure how to get back into the game, but it was so amazing to see Iraola pick up his side, and within a matter of 2 attacks in fairly quick succession, they were back in the game, 2-1 lead. And the one thing that they are quite good at as of late is seeing games out and being able to neutralise the opponent when need be. So I think they've done very, very well on that end.
Absolutely, Louis. Thank you very much. And as you mentioned as well, Everton good form, but at home it just continues to be the issue. And it's weird they're still so strong at home, but it's really gone pear shaped, if I may say so. Bournemouth another key win as they work their way up the table. And let me guess who gave Bournemouth that new sense of life? Of course, it was Tottenham, just like we did with West Ham. And speaking of West Ham, what a coincidence! Next game, West Ham and Man United. Louis, I'm going to give it to you 1-1. I mean, please tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure maybe not necessarily now, but particularly after full time, probably full of mixed emotions because I don't know, but maybe you would have taken that pre-match considering United come into it, with 4 wins in a row, really strong start under Michael Carrick. But when you concede in, 96th, 97th minute, of course, it feels like 2 points dropped. Give us all your thoughts.
First, yes, definitely mixed emotions. But the first thing I need to talk about is how, in the name of everything on this planet, was 7 added minutes the correct number? There was no bad injuries across the game. There was a VAR check, which was relatively quick. And if you factor in maybe the goal celebrations of the offside and our goal celebrations, you get to maybe about 3 or 4 minutes. How they added up 7 added minutes, I will never know. And I almost have that feeling that if it was against any other side, it wouldn't have been 7 added minutes. And to make it more painful, is it Simon Hooper, again, for West Ham, the same referee who made that brutal decision of Reuter's handball again for Brighton. I'll never forget it because it cost us 3 points that day. And a few days ago, it would cost 3 points again. But speaking upon the game, I thought we played very, 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 very well. Our normal tactic of having 2 strikers up front was not going to work against United. I'm very, very glad Nuno changed from it. If we played this rapid attacking style of 2 strikers, sure, it may have been better on the eye, but the problem here is United can neutralise us very, very well. Carrick is a very, very good manager in Manchester United. He's done very well with their style, but they've also been able to shut down people very easily. And they've also been countering, which is exactly what they did against Manchester City, and they would have done the same against us. Fortunately, we changed, and the game plan was nick a goal, and we did so through Souček. Brilliant bit of work from him and Bowen. But we couldn't get the result in the end. But I think if you offered me a 1-1 before the game, I would have snapped my arm off for it, honestly. But it's just painful in how we got the point, and it could prove to be extremely crucial, especially with results elsewhere. The Spurs game we've all spoken about, but also the Forest game, and more importantly, that gap is now 3 points, which is something we've been biting at away last few weeks. And it seems to be West Ham fans have been quite unlucky because every time we pick up a result, other people pick up a result. There's always one relegation, other relegation side that picks up another point, and we just, if we had got this goal, if we had this decision, the gap could have been this. And you work that across the season, and now you get into that ugly time where you think about that game to Nottingham Forest.
So annoying.
If you think about that game against Nottingham Forest, that should have been our 3 points, and 3 points taken off them with 3 points of safety. We are where Forest are now. So it plays on your mind, but I think we've got so much confidence going into games now, which is exactly what we needed. And that's given us the boost we've required.
That's everything that the likes of Tottenham and Forest don't have at the moment. So that's a positive for you, but the negative is managerial appointments could potentially change that, revitalise. So again, depends, glass half empty, half full. But Lou, before we move on Man United, well, it isn't really on United, it's on that guy that's dominated the headlines. Ultimately, the United strand, he's not getting a haircut after all. I mean, you've got to feel for him a little bit at this point. I'm sure, the income's coming in, the social media's doing well, but I don't think that his hair is agreeing with him.
No, I don't feel bad for him at all. Before the game, he was suggesting very, very, very much so that they would beat West Ham. And he said, we've played all of our big sides in Arsenal and City, and, we've had a great run, and now we've got West Ham, which we should beat. I didn't like those comments, and I'm sure our assistant manager also spoke about him on a Spanish interview, and evidently I can't exactly repeat what he said, but he wasn't very happy. And I'm sure they might have even said that to the players, get them fired up a little bit. Who knows?
Starting to get on people's nerves as well. Like Wayne Rooney calling him out, but the challenge continues for now. And other people copying, I've noticed as well. There's a lot of people doing it with Tottenham as well. There's one about cut my hair to Thomas Frank sacked, and he was sacked 31 minutes later. So as you can imagine, that was a really short challenge. I saw that, I was like, okay, and that blew up because it was a complete waste of time. There's another not cutting their hair until Tottenham win 5 games in a row, and trust me, he's gonna still be going well, years time, I'm sure. But hey ho. Next game, then, Nottingham Forest nil, Wolves nil. We'll talk about what happened as a result to Sean Dyche after this game because he was dismissed. But Cam, if I come to you on this one, a board draw in terms of it was 0-0, but Forest absolutely dominating, but they couldn't get the goal. I mean, that's real credit, I suppose, to goalkeeper Jose Sarr.
Yeah, it was absolute domination from Wolves, and not absolute domination from Wolves, absolute domination from Forest. And I'm just going to read their stats real quick during the game. So they had 34 shots, 8 shots on goal, 62% possession, and they had 8 corners. In terms of Wolves, 7 saves from Jose Sarr, 38% possession, and 3 shots on goal, and 7 shots. So, yeah, you could definitely see that Forest absolutely dominated this game. But I think when you look at the scoreline, you wouldn't predict that it ended 0-0. And considering Forest had the home advantage as well, you would have thought that this was going to be an easy game for Nottingham Forest. It seems like they've dropped points to a Wolves side that look down and out for the most part. It looks like they're going to be playing Championship football next season, most definitely. But it looks like, their goalkeepers and their defence has pretty much gotten them through this game and kept the clean sheet somehow against 34 shots. Unbelievable. And for Wolves, it's a great point, and I don't think it will influence, where their final fate will be at the end of the season. But it does show that they're still trying to fork out some results in terms of, they're still trying to fight in this league, and they're not, just giving up completely, which I think for them is very good. But yeah, I think on Forest's end, in terms of Sean Dyche as well, which we'll get to, I feel like when you dominate that much against a side that it is down and out for the most part, they're bottom of the league and they're not doing very well. Yeah, especially at home as well. How have you not scored a goal, and how have you managed to score 0 goals at home against a side who pretty much gets dominated every single game? I do not know. And I feel like it seems like Marinakis and Forest owners have looked at this and thought, okay, is Sean Dyche really the man to bring us forward? Perhaps not. And I think most sides, against Wolves have dominated this season and gotten great results against them. And I think for Forest relegation fight as well, it's, points dropped for Forest and, bad points dropped in a favourable game for them as well. And I think Marinakis has looked at that and potentially thought that change was needed. Personally, I think it was, a decision that perhaps Marinakis shouldn't have took, but, I don't even know with Marinakis. He's a crazy guy. I don't even know. I don't know how to describe him, but yeah, drop points for Forest, and I think Wolves will be very happy that they took a point from that game, considering the circumstances.
100%.
When the announcement happened, right, I was in disbelief because I couldn't believe it. I was like, he's been sacked after a game where he absolutely dominated, but it ain't his fault that his players can't score. Do you know what I mean? Like he's got no control over what happens on the pitch in terms of what his players do in terms of the final action. Like,
tactically he got it right, but the players just let him down. It's like the players have sacked him.
Absolutely right.
The players have sacked him.
Yeah, well, yeah, essentially, yeah.
If you think about it.
And I didn't actually think Sean Dyche was doing too bad with Nottingham Forest. I just think that their team ain't as good as everyone thinks it is.
I think you lost some of the fans, which is interesting. The boos were really loud, and they were really loud in Europe as well. I don't necessarily know why. I don't think it's an awful job, but maybe it's the football on top of the results. But maybe he's still.
He doesn't play great football, but
no.
But
the boos
9 times out of 10,
last 3 games
does get positive
loud.
results.
Yeah. Weird. Anyway, hey ho. I personally am sorry to any Forest fans listening. I have nothing against you or the club, but in my honest opinion, if you sack 3 managers in the season and go 4 managers, you deserve to go down. In my honest view, whoever you are, and I'd say exactly the same if it's Tottenham Hotspur, you deserve that. If you're going to be that, I'd argue arrogant, and entitled that these managers are not up to the job. Louis,
you're only 1 game behind. Sorry, 1 manager behind. 1 manager behind.
Yes, I know. Hopefully, don't go for another one because something's gone wrong. If that is the case, wouldn't surprise me with Tottenham. Louis, if I come to you again, because ultimately, it's a club that you'll be keeping an eye on. You have been, I'm sure, for an awfully long time. Are you surprised by this decision? Because I think Forest are taking a huge risk. Sean Dyche has a fantastic track record of keeping clubs up. Everton and Burnley, and I'd argue that was the safest option. Not the most interesting, but the safest. So, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, I'm sure, again, mixed emotions. We get onto who they brought in, but does this help West Ham? Is it negative? Is it positive? Let me know your thoughts.
Well, the Wolves result, I was knee sliding around the kitchen when I found out they drew. I mean, it was unbelievable. That double save by Jose Sarri might be getting an early Christmas present. But anyway, in terms of the actual second, I spoke to my friend about it, and he was saying, "Oh no, he's gone definitely." And I thought, really, you want Dyche to be the man who gets you out of a relegation fight. And Forest fans must have known. They must have known what they were getting when they got Dyche. Dyche plays a very specific type of football. It's very, very ugly. It's not very good. And it's not very pretty on the eye. But it does get results. They did beat Liverpool at Anfield 3-0. That's something people need to remember. They also did draw against Arsenal, which is another result that people need to remember. I think when you're in a relegation fight, if somebody had showed you a picture of Nottingham Forest at the moment and they didn't know anything that had happened this season, and someone said to you, they need a new manager, who should they get? A lot of people would say Sean Dyche, but they've just sacked him. And it's not that Vitor Pereira is not going to work at Nottingham Forest, because he could work. And you need to remember that I think when he was hired at Wolves, he won 9 games in a row straight away. But the problem is it's a massive risk. I think Dyche would have got them safety. I had it in my plans that Dyche was going to keep them afloat because, they managed results against Arsenal and City. And in my opinion, if you can manage results against Arsenal and City, you can manage results against everyone. Sorry, not City, Liverpool. But if we look at here, they had Liverpool coming up, who Dyche had already beaten. He should have definitely got that game. And against Wolves, there's this snapshot. I watched the game. There's a snapshot where I remember Nottingham Forest had 5 attackers in the Wolves box with 1 defender, and they missed it. I mean, A, how you even get into that position, I don't know. But B, how you don't score from it is even crazier to me. He should not have been sacked based off that result. And evidently, this was something Marinakis wanted for a while. And he couldn't do it off the back of their 2 wins against Ferencváros and Brentford. So he had to wait for a bad Leeds result, a bad Palace result, in his eyes probably. And the Wolves game was almost a trigger. It was, yes, we've had a bad result, so now I can sack him. That's what it almost feels like. It's an interesting decision, and it's one that's very risky. It sounds very stupid, but it's either going to work out or fail. But I think it'll either seriously work out or seriously fail. I don't think there'll be a middle ground with Vitor Pereira, as we've seen. It depends how he wants to go and play at this Forest side. He's another manager who works at a back 3. And towards his stint with Wolves, he was playing with a back 4. This season's stint with Wolves, he was playing with a back 4. And that's where everything went wrong with him. Obviously, this Wolves team doesn't have a good capability. Bit ironic, the West Ham fan saying that. But it is true. They're not a very good side, hence the positioning. But if he is to play a back 4 at Forest, I think they'll get relegated. If he's to play a back 3 and he can work it out very quickly, which I don't think he's got the prettiest of fixtures to do it with, they could be all right. But it depends. It's 50-50.
Absolutely, I agree with that. Risky. He hasn't had long. I don't like appointing managers that haven't had long out of management. I don't necessarily know what it is. Maybe it's about the emotion. I just don't like it. I prefer to appoint someone that's had a little, not again, if we point someone like Klopp now, I'd argue or anyone appointed Klopp rather, that's risky because he's been out of the game so long. But also, I wouldn't want someone like Ange come into Forest. That is not a good idea when you've had just weeks away from the game. And someone like De Zerbi is a prime example, right? Tottenham's linked to him to bring him in now. No, for me, not straight away. Absolutely not. Someone's just come out of management. I don't think generally it goes well. I don't think it goes well at all, and they all regret it later on. But we'll have to see. That's just my thinking on that. I mean, you may disagree. I just prefer someone that, has had a little bit of time to reset and the emotions not of the part. Like Conte, for example, he's admitted himself, made the mistake in his career, going straight into a job and then still having emotion about the old job and not being able to recover, in his own words. But for now, we will move on to Villa and Brighton. Matt, if I give this one to you, Villa winning it at the end, went down as an own goal, but it was Mings who got his head to it. I mean, heartbreak for Brighton because the form for Brighton's been horrific. And for Villa, they've just about been getting jobs done and a few slip-ups here and there. And it wasn't the greatest game, but a huge goal at the end. And again, more question marks around Fabian Hurtz's future at Brighton.
Yeah, I didn't actually too much of this game, but it's a big result for Aston Villa because they're now 7 points behind Arsenal, and they're just on the cusp of staying in the title race because 7 points, in the 26 games played, it's very unlikely that they win the league, but you're not out of the title race. And I didn't realize where Brighton are in the league table. Wow. I didn't think Brighton could be getting into a relegation fight because, if we're talking Tottenham, are in a relegation fight, then, they're only 2 points behind Brighton. And you've got to include them because their form has been terrible. And I really worry about Brighton because their recruitment this season hasn't been up to the standards that we obviously expect Brighton to be. And I mean, they've got a couple of loan players out who are actually very good, but obviously very young. But I worry for Brighton because I look at their team and I don't see a player that Tottenham have, that Forest have, that West Ham have. Because West Ham, they've got Jarrod Bowen. Forest, they've got likes of Elanga. They've got Morgan Gibbs-White. Tottenham have got, Van der Ven. They have Kulusevski. With Brighton, I mean, I guess you class Danny Welbeck, as that type of player for them, but I've not really seen much of him, of recent. He started the season very, very well, but it is getting increasingly worrying about Brighton and the manager. I mean, I don't really rate him personally, but he's a very, very young manager still. So yeah, it is worrying times for Brighton, I think.
Definitely. Thank you. Cam, if I give you the next game, Palace 2, Burnley 3. I mean, there's a lot of things to focus on in this game. So, pleased to go for it all. Strand Larsen, 2 goals, perfect home debut. Palace blasting to a 2-0 lead. Burnley having a fantastic, memorable 7 minutes, going from 2-0 behind at Selhurst Park to 3-2 up. Ultimately, the game had no goals in the second half and Burnley won 3-2. So, talk to me about Strand Larsen, Palace, the Burnley player resilience. But also, do you think this is win for Burnley on Scott Parker, or is it player initiative? They get a goal and the confidence flows from that. I want to know how much you think it's on the manager or the players for Burnley.
Yeah, well, it seems like it was a good start for Palace. Of course, Strand Larsen, the new signing, coming in and, getting 2 quick goals. It seems like, after that win against Brighton, Palace were kind of perhaps going to go on an upwards trajectory, and I guess we'll see what happens there. But I think, conceding 3 goals from minute 40 to minute 45, especially against a side who perhaps haven't been amazing this season, it's going to knock a lot of these Palace players' confidence down, I think, especially when they need results and, what they're going to hope they're not sucked into a relegation battle. And, against sides like Burnley, Palace are probably going to back themselves as favourites, albeit, they've struggled a lot this season. But I think the resilience for Burnley to come back from 2 goals down away from home as well. They've not been great all season. They've not managed to really get a win in quite a while. It's always been draw, loss, mostly losses. and they've come here from 2-0 down within the space of 5 to 10 minutes and, taken the lead. And I'm pretty sure the first goal was an own goal. And I think from there, they just kept on going. And yeah, I think perhaps you could argue that's the players to an extent, because I think when when teams come back, the majority of the time it's in the second half. And usually I would say that that's based off the manager's team talk. But this was from the first half, minute 40 to minute 45, and you kind of think, okay, Burnley have gotten that first goal. Can, from Burnley's point of view, okay, we can get an equaliser here. We can still win the game. I think the players' resilience was, very, very good, and, they didn't back down at all. But I do also think that, to an extent, Scott Parker also kind of influenced the result for Burnley, because I think, they've not been doing amazing at the moment. Perhaps in the pre-match team talk, he was kind of like, okay, Palace not been amazing at the moment, albeit they won that game at Brighton. This is definitely a team that we can beat, and definitely a side that, and definitely a fixture that's winnable, and a ground to come to that a lot of sides have won at this season. And, Palace, compared to last season as well, they've definitely not been the same at all. And Burnley have come here and got on a big 3 points. Don't think it'll be quite influential in terms of them staying up. I still do think that they're going to be down and out alongside Wolves.
Are they building it a little bit though? I agree with you.
Yeah,
They're expected to stay up.
yeah.
Bit of
I
momentum,
don't think,
maybe.
yeah, I don't think the final kind of bit, or the final kind of decision, will be Burnley staying up. But I do think that, like Wolves, they're going to be able to still get results from other teams and still try and fight their way to stay in the league. I don't think they'll be able to execute that perfectly alongside Wolves. But I still do think they're going to be able to get these results like they did at Palace here and there, and not exactly, just gift teams 3 points like, some teams have been doing. Talking from experience there, but yeah, it's a big win for Burnley, and for Palace, it's a very big missed opportunity.
Couldn't agree more. And I thought Palace would, not storm this game, but I thought they'd be all right, especially after going 2-0 up and Strand Larson. I mean, great start to his Palace career, and things look like they turned around for Palace. New lineup, new signings in the lineup, and more strength on the bench, but it wasn't to be. And big emotion at the end shown by Bradker, but in particular manager Scott Parker. So fair play to Burnley. They could have given up. Could have been, literally given up. Along with Wolves, by the way, they could have given up, ages ago. But both of them fighting and getting points and trying to win games. You've got to credit, they're not down and out. We've seen in the past, even clubs like Norwich, where, it's just a case of playing for pride. And in the end, I think they had like 11 or 12 defeats straight in a row. And I think broken up by maybe one draw somewhere in there. But the point is, Burnley and Wolves, I think, deserve a lot of credit for keep going. Because realistically, especially Wolves, we know, but Burnley highly likely to be playing Championship football. Matt, talk to me about the next game. Because, of course, you'll have all eyes on City and you won't like to see this score, especially knowing that we'll get onto it. But you didn't win. City 3, Fulham 0. Of course, full credit to City. Result is what matters most, and they've been really good since both signing Semenya and Gay have come in. But if you look at the stats, you watch the game, scoreline is a little bit harsh on Fulham. I think they created enough opportunities to get on the score sheet. Do you agree with me?
Yeah, the scoreline flattered Man City, I thought. With Semenya, I mean, he's a hell of a sign, and he's been so good. I think he's got 7 GA in 8 games for Man City. He's pretty much kicked off. Well, he's just kicked on since he's left Bournemouth, and he's just been brilliant. But on Fulham, Leno made some good saves, to be fair to him. But I just didn't think that they were good enough. I didn't think that they wanted it really. They did all right in terms of having shots and shots on target, but it's just never going to be enough to beat Man City at home really. And I always felt that this would be a very comfortable win for them.
Absolutely, it was in the end. Thank you very much. Louis, if I come to you, Sunderland and Liverpool, 1-0 win for Liverpool, which means Sunderland's first home defeat of the season. First defeat, the same of light. If I'm honest with you, I thought they'd be unbeaten all year. They've been that good at home. For Liverpool, after, disappointing result against City. I think, okay, just about okay performance, but bad result. This was key that they bounced back, and it feels like a big result.
It is. I think it is a big result, but I do think it is paper over the cracks in the great grand scheme of things here. The game was very glamorous statistically and towards Liverpool. I think if you watch the game, you saw Sunderland. They were not consistent, but they had their attacks in waves. For 10 minutes, they'd be brutally dominated by Liverpool, and then for 5 minutes, they'd dominate. And that was a continuous theme throughout the game. A few penalty call-outs, none that were all quite half-hearted. And, a bit of a lucky goal, I guess, for Liverpool. I mean, it's a great header by Van Dijk originally, but very unlucky for the Sunderland player to... I can't remember who it was off the top of my head, but he couldn't clear it off the line. Unfortunately, headed it into his own net, but it was going in anyway. And I think Sunderland have been quite unlucky as of recent. They had that really good start to the season, and those wins slowly start to become draws. And those draws have now spiraled into some inconsistencies. They had a 3-0 loss against Brentford, picked up a nice win against Palace, then a 3-1 loss to West Ham, then they beat Burnley, and then they lost 3-0 to Arsenal. But having Arsenal and Liverpool back to back is very harsh. No side wants that in the Premier League. Very, very cruel. But they've got a good run of fixtures now, and I think they'll probably end the season strong. I think everyone sort of anticipated Sunderland to finish around, well, not the beginning of the season, but after their miraculous start. People expected them to maybe finish around the regions of 10th to 14th. A fall off of where they were, but remarkable considering what people initially anticipated come the beginning of the season. So definitely they will be happy with it, and they're still in around. I mean, if you add 3 points to their total, they're in the Conference League spot. So anything can happen. Obviously, that does depend on European places and what happens in the FA Cup, etc. But they are still into it, and I think given their upcoming games that they have, they've got a really good chance to get themselves back into it. And for Liverpool, they're clinging on to that top four, so they've got to keep going.
Okay, Louis, thank you very much. Agree with that. Thank you, absolutely. So for Sunderland, they've got to keep going, pick themselves up, and keep going at home. They don't want to all of a sudden slump at home. Don't do an Everton. You lose your first game at home, and then you can't stop losing at home. I don't think that will be the case. But the last game, Brentford and Arsenal. Of course, I'm going to give to Matt. I know that you're going to be frustrated, Matt, but I'm sure you'll view it as 2 points dropped. But realistically, Brentford, you did as well. Don't get me wrong, but Brentford had a couple of big chances with Thiago to win it. I mean, that's not good for Arsenal dropping 2 points, but it could have been even worse, couldn't it, at one point?
I don't look at it as 2 drop points because I think we were lucky to come out of that with a point. So I will take that point. I think the first 30 minutes, we were just weathering the storm. And then towards halftime, we grew into that game. Arteta brought on Odegaard at halftime, and I thought that was the right substitution. You could see instantly how we were just more sharper. We were trying to play the ball through the lines more quicker. And, in the end, the goal comes from a brilliant cross from Hincapié, who has come under a lot of criticism in terms of his attacking phase at Arsenal. And a fantastic header by Noni, who has also come under massive criticism for not being involved in goals much. He's really done well at Arsenal this season. Considering he is technically a bench player. He's not anything more than that. He's there to give Saka a rest when we need him to be. But when he's played, especially as of recent, he's actually impressed me. He's got past his man very, very quickly, and he's improving on corners. He's improving in his decision making, which is something I criticised. Why we went for him, because his decision making at Chelsea was pathetic. But it has gradually improved this season. And then after the goal, it just seems to be quite common this season with us when we score a goal, we tend to be very complacent and just switch off, and that's where you're most vulnerable. As soon as you score a goal, that's where you're most vulnerable.
Definitely.
Can you get that second goal and kill the game off essentially? And we had that chance with, for whatever reason why, Timber was in the position Martinelli should have been in, and Timber was through on goal, and because he's not an attacker, I don't expect him to score, from that position. And he fluffs his line. He gives it to, I think it was Declan Rice um or Martinelli, and no, I think it was Declan Rice. And it was just too little, too late. And that position right there is where I want Martinelli. If Martinelli was in that position Timber was in, I expect him to score that, because that's just the caliber of player he is. And I this season, I do like the way Arteta has switched things up with the fullback no longer inverting. He's actually getting into more attacking positions for both of our fullbacks, but it is getting quite a bit pissed off at the fact that they're getting in better attacking position than our attacking players, which shouldn't be happening, but maybe that's part of the plan in terms of unpredictability. But then Brentford, look, I guess I know what it feels like now to be on the end of a set piece, in that
Tell David Raya that.
It's coming. And look, this guy, I want him at Arsenal. He's 21 years old. He's absolutely ridiculous at launching the ball.
Crazy.
He throws it high, and he also throws it with pace, and he also throws it at a certain level that just fizzes it in. And that is it's literally Arsenal's corners. It reminds me of, in terms of the opposition's panicking, like when he steps up to take that throw in, you just know it's so dangerous. And also, I just want to speak upon this because I think it is totally disgraceful how long Brentford take on throw-ins, and how long Arsenal and other clubs take on corners. Like, there needs to be a rule where we're cutting that time down, because they took, I think, 45 seconds to take a throw in, and that time doesn't get added on because it's just a throw in. No one expects a throw in to be close to a minute
10-second
take.
cap.
I agree. Absolutely agree. And I think if you go over that 10-second cap, then it's either the opposition throw in or it's a goal kick. But yeah, that's just something I just wanted to get off my chest. Because even with Arsenal, it annoys me how long we take up throwing at corners, because we can take them early and be unpredictable and, have more chances. But yeah, no. And then, Brentford score, and it's just a really well-worked set piece. That's all you can really say on that. It's a set piece that they work really hard on, and hopefully in 12 to 18 months, I will see this at my club, because we've hired the long throw-in guy that made Brentford, how they are at long throws. So hopefully I better see that next season. I better see those results. But in the end of it, I will be happy with a point. Brentford are not, are not an easy team. They're really not. I think they're like 5th or 6th place. They've got a really good home record, and for anyone thinking that we were just going to batter them, you don't know football. No one is battering Brentford at home. No one is, because they're so resolute, and their set pieces are very, very dangerous.
Certainly are. Thank you very much, Matt. Just a couple of things to quickly mention before we move on to the FA Cup preview. Ego Thiago got player of the month. So congratulations to him, and also signed a new deal at Brentford.
Very well deserved.
Very well deserved, absolutely, and both of them as well, by the way. And Michael Carrick, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was given manager of the month as well. So yeah, again, expected, but congratulations to him also. And lastly, to say about the cap, although I support the idea of the cap, I'd argue that that reduces the impact of, in particular, the throw, but also the corner, because it's rushed, and
I
we
agree.
know if it's rushed, it's not as good. So if you're anyone else, right, whether it be Tottenham or West Ham, etc., whoever it may be, we'd be in favour of that. But if you're someone like Brentford and Keith Andrew, Kyoto, you'd be thinking, hang on a minute, we want time to get this right, because I think the time creates anticipation. I think it creates panic amongst defenders. I asked the defenders to wait in 45 seconds, and you lose concentration, you lose your man quite quickly. So that just throw it out there. I don't think they do it, but I do agree with the idea. But Matt, thank you very much for your thoughts on that. Let's move on then to FA Cup round 4 preview, which kicks off in 15 minutes. So to get it done in time, we're going to give just score predictions. If your club is involved, Cam, unfortunately your side, Tottenham, my side as well, and not involved. So I don't mean to dig us out there, but unfortunately that just is the way it is. But yeah, if you're your club, give us your thoughts. But if not, just the score. And we'll start with Hull City and Chelsea. Potential upset on the card maybe in this first game. So Cam, give us your score prediction for this game.
Oh, I'm going narrow Chelsea win. I'll go 2-1. I don't think it'll be easy, but I think they'll get past the line.
Okay, thank you. Louis, don't make me faint. I'm sure you're going to back Liam Rosina and Chelsea. What's your score prediction?
Yep, I've gone with 3-1 Chelsea.
No worries. Thank you very much. And Matt, you going to back Chelsea as well?
4-0 Chelsea.
Oof, 4-0 Chelsea. Okay, big win for you, I think. Burn and West Ham. Louis, give us your thoughts and score prediction. We know I'm going to ask it. Any upset on the cards?
Whoa. See, we do have a problem here because Max Kilman is going to be playing, so there's always that. It's the Max
Lucky
Kilman tax for this one.
Oh, you've lost. You've lost.
No,
Sorry,
no.
You're out.
We might. We like losing to lower league teams. We lost to. I'll never forget when we lost to Wimbledon and Oxford. That was a fun time. But anyway, I think we're going to win this game 3-0. I've got a little bit of confidence in us. I reckon we're going to play quite a strong squad because Nuno likes going with stronger squads, and he's also talked about how important the FA Cup is. I reckon we'll probably rest Bowen and Fernandes, and I think everyone else will pretty much start. Areola will be back in goal for this game. And it's a really important game. I think people don't realise how big this game is. It's more than just getting through to the next round. It's that confidence, keeping that Premier League confidence going and taking it into a vital game against Bournemouth, as we've already discussed. So I've gone with 3-0 West Ham. Actually, sorry, I'm changing that. I've got Kilman starting 3-1.
Love that.
No clean sheet.
No clean sheets. Poor Matt Kilman at this point. You're going to get his agent onto you, I'm sure. Louis, thank you very much. Cam, give us your score prediction. Burton versus West
Ham. See, I was going to go 2-0, but then Louis said Max Kilman starting. So I'm going to go with, same as Hull City and Chelsea, I'm going 2-1 to West Ham.
Okay, thank you. Comment here in the YouTube chat, going 2-0 to West Ham. Matt?
I'll go 2-1. 2-1 West Ham.
Okay, thank you very much. Just a reminder, I did mention it earlier, I'll say it again. We are just talking about the Premier League clubs in the FA Cup. So before people say, Harry, you forgot this game, don't worry. I know it is deliberate. We're just talking about the Premier League clubs because this is a Premier League podcast. And Burnley against Mansfield Town. Matt, if I come to you to start, you back in Burnley? Go for your score prediction.
I am going to back Burnley because I think that Palace win was so crucial. Every fundamental part about Burnley this season, and I think I don't think they'll put Mansfield to the sword, but I think it will be a comfortable 3-0 win.
3-0 win. That's comfortable enough. That's be enough for Scott Parker and Burnley to be happy with. Louis, score prediction.
I should really quickly preference. I don't know Max Kilman's style. I'm just assuming he is.
All right.
Like him.
It just makes sense for him too. But I'll go 2-0 Burnley.
2-0 Burnley. All the important context there. Thank you. Cam?
I'm going to go 4-1 Burnley. They're at home as well. So, yeah, I'll back Burnley.
Fair enough. Yeah, to be fair, I mean, Burnley were really good, weren't they, defensively in the Championship? Quite the contrary, as expected in the Premier League. Can they keep a clean sheet in this one against lower opposition? Well, I think we know who's going to win this one. I say that, but if City put out a youth team, maybe, just maybe. But Man City against Salford City, score prediction?
Well, they put up their youth team last time and won 10-0 pretty much. So
That's actually very true. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, shut me
Did
down.
they? I thought they put out their full strength team. Like, fair enough.
I saw quite a few young players sign.
Let me check,
saw,
because I swear it was
they
like.
did start Haaland.
at least most of their
Haaland
goals,
and Reinders.
most of
They'd
their
Reinders
goal
there, I
scorers
swear.
were young players.
Hold on, let me check.
Yeah.
They
They
definitely
beat
had a
them
couple.
10-1. They started
Come on,
James
yeah.
Trafford, Max Alei, Bernardo
Reinders?
Silva, Kusanov, Ake, Stefan Mufani, Rico Lewis. To be fair. Oh, wait, hold up. Oh, right, okay.
What are you
Hold up.
surprised
I've
about?
got it. So, right, okay. So they started James Trafford. They started Max Alane. They started Kusanov. They started Ake. They started Rico Lewis.
Mhm.
They started Ryan Mikado. They started Reinders. They started
Reinders,
Cherky. They started Rodri. They started Haaland. And they started Semenya. So, 50-50.
Yeah. Okay, take your point, Cam. What's your score prediction there?
Yeah. I'm going another thrashing. I'll go 5-0 this time.
5-0. Okay. A little bit, easier on Salford City. Matt?
Look, I'm a big Man City hater.
I know.
I'm only
what's
predicting this
coming?
result
Matt,
because
don't say anything
no.
stupid.
I'm only predicting this result because Salford City, they're a Manchester club. So I think that I don't think it's going to be a battering because I think there's going to be a bit of
Interesting. Didn't
not
think
rivalry, but a bit tense in this game. I'm going to go 2-1 Man City.
Okay. Good stuff.
2-0.
I've taken that logic and I've gone the other way. I think Pep's really going to want to win, so I've gone 7-0.
Okay.
Now we're laughing, but if it actually happens, then fair play.
Yeah.
We'll come back to this. This has been clipped.
Yeah.
1 hour 21. It's in my head. I'm remembering that. Right. Thank you. All Premier League clash then. I'll certainly be watching this one if it is televised. Aston Villa against Newcastle. Cam, starting with you once again. What do you reckon for this one? It's a tough one to call when you've got two Premier League sides involved and you assume they're going to rest players. It's very hard to call.
Yeah, it's a strange one. I think it'll be a good game as well, but I'm backing Villa to win. I don't think they're going to batter Newcastle. I think it's going to be a very, very close game. I think Villa will edge it 2-1 just because they're at home.
That's what I had in my head as well, 2-1. Thank you very much, Louis. What do you reckon?
No, I had 2-1 as well to Villa. I don't think Villa are going to want to win this game given their injuries and what they're focusing on. But
Yeah.
I do think they will win it. So I've gone 2-1.
2-1. Thank you, Matt.
Villa are in a very interesting position because they probably want to win a cup. But with the injuries they have, especially in midfield, they have to rest their midfield because they're in the Champions League and they're in the Premier League. So I'm going 1-1, and I reckon Newcastle nick it on penalties. It does go straight to penalties, right? It's not extra time.
Assume so. I don't know, actually. I don't know.
It doesn't.
No, I don't know.
We had this last week. Last time we did this, it goes to.
Oh, we did, yeah. Oh, yeah.
My days.
Yeah, we got it wrong. Well, I got it wrong.
Also, West Ham went to extra time, so.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I will go. In extra time, I will go Newcastle to win.
Okay, thank you. And the other all Premier League clash going back the other way. Matt, starting with you, Liverpool and Brighton.
I think they're going to absolutely wallop Brighton. I mean, we smashed Brighton with a kid in the Carabao Cup. So I'm going 4-0 Liverpool.
I don't want to give my score prediction too much, but I think Brighton win this and they kickstarts them.
Ooh!
Result. Just throw it out there.
Okay.
I think Brighton
I did not expect that.
Just want to throw it out.
No, I didn't. Because I thought he was going to say 7-0 Liverpool.
No.
That's what I thought.
I think Liverpool will go easy with the team, and I think Brighton will go full strength and get a result and build some confidence.
That's interesting.
That's my view, though. Louis?
I agree with you, Harry, but not with the result because I think Brighton, even with their full strength team, aren't very good. So I've gone with 1-1, but Liverpool to win on penalties.
Yeah, that's more realistic. Yeah, fair enough. Thank you, Cam.
Yeah, I think Liverpool are going to rest a lot of their players. I'm going to go 2-0 Liverpool, I reckon.
Okay, thank you. And I'm going to call it again with this one. I think Birmingham will win. There's going to be an upset in this one, but who knows? Cam?
He's done it again.
Yeah, no. Bold.
Oh, depends if Leeds rest their players, what players they rest as well. 1-0 Leeds. I reckon they'll scrape through.
Okay. Do you know what? I'm going to be extremely greedy in many ways, and I'm going to chip in now. I'm going to go with 2-1 to Birmingham. Matt?
I'm going 1-0 Leeds.
Okay, playing it safe. Louis?
I changed my score prediction like 9 times for this game. I ended up with 2-1 Leeds.
2-1 Leeds. Do you know what? I think there's going to be so many upsets this weekend. I think there's going to be so many upsets, and I think, and you know, I'm going to say it. I think there will be in this one. I think they'll need extra time though, Grimsby. But I think that's the only thing, because it's a smaller outfit. They do get tired as the game goes on. But I think they're going to nick it 2-1. Matt, can I get your score prediction? Grimsby Town against Wolves. I'm backing Grimsby Town.
I've gotten the exact same score and the exact same scenario. They're going to nick it in the last minute of extra time.
Interesting. Thank you, Louis.
I don't know. I don't really see it. I've gone with 1-0 to Wolves. I think it'd be such a boring game though.
Yeah, we're not watching this one, are we? Let's be honest. Sorry to any Wolves fans in particular.
What day is that on?
Oh, Saturday, Sun.
I think it's Sunday. Sunday, I think.
If it's Sunday, I won't be at home anyway.
That's the excuse. Cam, can I get your score prediction?
I'm going the other way, Louis. I'm going 1-0 Grimsby. I reckon be a boring game, but I reckon with the most scrappiest goal from Grimsby, I think they're going to win 1-0.
Scenes indeed. Stoke and Fulham. I'm going 1-1, and Fulham win it 3-1 after extra time. Cam?
See though, Fulham, yeah, I don't know. I feel like depending on who they rest again, will the Premier League games get to them? I don't know. But then I'm not too sure how Stoke have been, to be fair, in the Championship. But I'm gonna go Fulham win on pens, normal score 1-1.
Oh, dramatic. Love it. Louis?
Stoke haven't been very good at the moment, so I've gone with 3-1 Fulham.
Okay, thank you. And Matt?
Look, as a proud member of Set Piece Ole, I've got to back my allies, and I will be back in Stoke City to win 2-1.
Okay, thank you very much. Love it. Oxford City and Sunderland. You know what I'm going to say. I think it's going to be another upset in this one, and I think they're only going to win by a single goal, though. I'm going to go 1-0 to Oxford City. I'm fancying a lot of upsets. I just think we've got to a stage in the season in the Premier League where injuries are kicking in and there are other priorities. I just think that I don't think Sunderland go full strength. Regis de Vries has been really reluctant, though, having said that, to contradict myself, to go with a different team. But I think you have to bow down a little bit and rest 3 or 4 players. Could be wrong, but I just think that it's going to go all wrong for the Premier League clubs. I think we're going to lose over half of them in this game week. Matt, give us your score prediction.
It's an interesting game because Sunderland are currently in like free fall where they're definitely not going to get relegated, but I don't think they've really got a chance of getting European football. So it's a matter of finishing as high as you can for the prize.
Could go all out for this then. Why don't they go all out? For
exactly. And I think they probably will go all out. And I'm going 2-0 Sunderland. Okay,
thank you, Louis.
Well, according to Harry's predictions, we'll have Oxford in the semi-finals at this rate. I mean, I've gone with 2-0 Sunderland as well, Harry. I hope there's this many upsets, and I hope West Ham aren't one of them, because then we might get.
I hope so.
We might have an easy ticket. But 2-0 Sunderland.
Did you see why I'm popular? Well, my opinions are unpopular amongst the Spurs fans. I think maybe it's starting to show a little bit now. Whatever I say, and I put something up, and I think that's not too unpopular, is it, Harry? I just try and water it down a little bit, and it still doesn't go how I want. But hey ho,
no,
Gav, true story. Gav, gonna get your score prediction. Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry. I think Sunderland are going to win 3-0. I reckon. I mean, Oxford have not been great. I think they're going down to League One as well. At the end of the season, I'll Sunderland 3-0.
Okay, Arsenal and Wigan. Of course, Wigan are going to win 4-0. No, listen, I'm not that deluded. I'm deluded, but not extremely deluded. I think Arsenal absolutely do win this one. 3-1 to Arsenal. Matt, of course, give us your thoughts as well as your score prediction.
Look, I'll be heading to this game, and I don't want to see a single first-team player apart from Eze, because this guy needs
What's happened to him?
You know what's happened to him? I think,
Bro, if it wasn't for the Tottenham game, Eze, bro, fraud watch.
Hat trick against Tottenham, they're nothing.
hold on. He won us the game against Palace, to be fair. And we needed to win that game. But this guy needs to step up because Odegaard looks to be out for quite a lengthy amount of time, from what I've been told. Kai Havertz, he's out for maybe, up to a month. Marino's out for the season. Waneri's on loan. Dalman, I mean, we're playing him on the right rather than centrally at the moment. So it's really Eze's position to lose at the moment because no one is available. So I better see a big performance from him. I want him to dominate this game. And I want to see a couple of youngsters play because we are picking up a lot of injuries. We're still in all 4 competitions. And the amount of injuries we're getting to our midfield is very, very concerning. But I'm going, look, we're at home. I don't think there's going to be many hardcore fans there. So, the atmosphere probably isn't going to be as great considering, we've got Tottenham next weekend. So they'll probably be looking forward to that. I'm going, fuck it. I'll go 4-0. 4-0 Arsenal.
Okay, thank you very much. Backing your side, as always. Good to see. Louis, give us your score prediction. I'm assuming you're going to back Arsenal.
I am. I'm going to go 4-1.
4-1, yeah, okay. Cam?
See, my Tottenham head just wants to say 2-1 Wigan. Just why not? Just one another upset for you, Harry. There you go.
Take a leaf out of my book.
Nah, on the real. Yeah, it's going to be an easy one for Arsenal. They're probably going to rest most of their players. Bar Eze. 3-0 Arsenal. Yeah.
Maybe a little bit tighter if it was away from home. Never know. But Arsenal at home, that's absolutely huge when I found that out. Last game then, to wrap it up, Macclesfield and Brentford. I think Brentford win this 3-1. Cam?
You know what? I'm going with the story. I'm going with the story. I'm going 2-1 Macclesfield.
Okay. Interesting. Matt?
If my club gets knocked out of this competition, I will be rooting every single bone for Macclesfield to win it. Look, I think Macclesfield are going to have a similar game against Crystal Palace where they just win it. I think Brentford will be focusing on the Premier League because they know, I mean, they're in contention to be in the Champions League at this point. They're probably going to get Europa League football, but they can push for Champions League. And I think that's where their mind's going to be at. Because, if you win the FA Cup, it's great for your trophy cabinet because, I don't know if they've won many major trophies ever. But in terms of financial wise, it doesn't give you money like the Premier League does. So I'm going for 3. No, I'm going 4-3 Macclesfield.
Goodness me, wow. This predictions or something else. I love this.
Brentford went from almost beating Arsenal.
I'll be rooting them on, man.
Against Macclesfield.
I'm meant to be the one that goes to these bold predictions. Love that. Louis, to end. Oh, I can't hear.
On mute.
I'm muted. According to the podcast, we're going to have Macclesfield facing Oxford in the semi-finals of the FA Cup. So this is a brilliant tournament. I have gone with the upset. I haven't gone with the upset though. I've just gone 3-1 Brentford.
This is why. Well, I'm certainly not.
Boring.
Anything to do with bookies? Absolutely not. But that wraps us up. Louis, I'll let you jump first. I know you want to watch Hull City and Chelsea, but drop your socials. Tell people they can follow you.
Well, it's Louis Van on X, and it's just LOUISVANN, and that's all.
Thank you so much for your time. Feel free to jump. Thank you very much for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
No worries. And Matt, thank you for coming on. Where can people follow you on the socials?
Just here on my tag here on Twitter.
Good stuff, Matt. Thank you. And Cam, drop the socials and the YouTube channel.
Yeah, you can also follow me on my X page there, TGFC_Cam on there. Tweet about football, tweet about Tottenham. Yeah, there you go.
Great stuff. No, thank you very, very much. Thank you to all of you. Thank you to everyone that's listened to this episode of the Scarfey Talks Premier League podcast. Covered a lot. Sean Dyche sacking, Thomas Frank sacking, Victor Pereira's appointment, Tottenham's new interim manager, reviewed every single game in Gameweek 26, and also previewed every Premier League club game that they're involved in the FA Cup fourth round, and talked about player of the month, manager of the month, you name it. Igor Thiago's new contract, all done in just over an hour and a half. But on that note, thank you very much. Wish your club all the best in the FA Cup if you're fortunate enough to still be in it.